Hello, everyone, and welcome to Book of Vince, the Wrestling Dream Match podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Martin Bennett. And with me, as always, is the walking condominium, Anthony Hall.
What the hell? Who was the walking condominium? What a ridiculous name.
Okay, I'll give you a couple of hints.
I'm guessing they were large.
Yes, they're a big man. They're from the 80s.
They're from a condo?
No. They're a big guy from the 80s. Who were the big boys in the 80s and early 90s?
Andre the Giant.
No.
Vader.
No. Okay. King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, okay. King Kong Bundy. The walking condominium. Jesus Christ.
He was the big man before Andre showed up. And Hogan had a great match against King Kong Bundy. I think he was one of the early WrestleManias. And then I don't know if Undertaker ever faced him. But yeah. I saw that and I went, that's a great one. I love it. Because King Kong Bundy was huge. He wasn't Andre the Giant huge, but he was like he wasn't a giant. That's the thing. It was he didn't have that. He wasn't technically labeled, scientifically labeled a giant. He was just a huge man.
King Kong Bundy. Oh yeah. Just some classic black singlet action.
Oh yeah.
Just stepping over the old man here, the walking condominium, the condos suffocating America and all real estate, walking condominiums, just smashing the American dream. Not the American dream. America. The American dream, of course. Dusty Rhodes.
But besides being big men, we got a fantastic episode for you today.
What an aggressive segue. Besides being big men, we have a fantastic episode. Yes. Speaking of here's an aggressive segue.
Speaking of big men.
Speaking of condominiums and housing, at the time of recording, this is the day after NXT in your house.
Oh, okay.
And some of you live in condominiums. I live in an apartment building.
I thought you were going to relate to the housing market exploding right now. No. Yeah, we got a fantastic episode for you today. We got a fun little dream, not necessarily a match, but more of dream booking when it comes to the Black and Gold brand. But before we get into that,
yes.
If you enjoy what we do here on the podcast, please follow, subscribe to it on whatever platform you get your podcast from, or come watch the video version on our YouTube so you can check out our lovely faces. And also, please follow the podcast on Twitter at Book of Vince Pod, so you can follow along with our live tweets, our questions that we ask the wrestling community, and our wrestling memes that pop up from time to time. So.
Yeah, and when wrestling journalists comment on things, wrestling journalists who don't let people comment on their posts unless they follow them because they're such good journalists. I was doing things with my fingers that are disrespectful.
We've had some fun times talking to. Yeah, no. The dirt sheets are hit or miss sometimes.
Yeah. Some of our fun times are hit or miss, but shouts out to you, all of you wrestling journalists.
We've clearly struck a chord. Yes. But anyways, so this episode, like Anthony sort of mentioned, we're recording this the day before we upload, which only happens from time to time when things scheduling and whatnot happens and we get delayed. But Anthony came up with this idea based off of what happened last night at NXT TakeOver in your house. Great show. We'll just quickly comment. Great show. Great matches.
Mm-hmm.
Loved.
Yeah.
We're going to spoil it just so you were aware. So suck it.
No. Spoilers incoming. This is coming out on Tuesday. You've had 2 full days to watch it.
Yeah. Let's see what I love that LA Knight is the $1 million champion now.
Yes.
That's great for his character. Well, I'm excited to see what carries on with that storyline.
Yeah, and because we were talking about this earlier, and you're like, well, Marty was saying that LA Knight needed the $1 million belt because he doesn't really have a character, and I could not really describe his character either. It's guy who is kind of an asshole who says his name like this. This is my name. It's
that sort of like pure athlete. Oh, it's not even like pure athlete. It's that persona of like, I am a wrestler. Sweet. And yeah, I think
say my name like this.
I think he did desperately need something to just give him a little boost. So, and I think the $1 million championship is great. The main event was crazy.
Yes.
That fatal 5-way was absolutely nuts. I was half expecting something to happen or someone to show up in that, but the cliffhanger we got instead was something that Anthony was actually confused about, and I had to explain it to him because you've missed the last couple of weeks of NXT.
I have, yes.
So the last couple of weeks of NXT have been chaotic, to say the least. I mean, Adam Cole coming through and just brutalizing everyone to challenge Karrion Kross, and then that leading to them all fighting each other and fatal 5-way. Wrestlers fighting in the back, just attacking each other. Tons of chaos, and William Regal not thinking he has any more control over NXT as the general manager. And at the end of NXT in your house, Mackenzie Mitchell runs up to him, saying, what did you think of in your house? And he walks away saying, I've been general manager for 7 years and I haven't seen this much chaos. I think there is time. There's needed for time. What am I saying? It's time for needed change. And what does that mean? There's been a lot of speculation.
What does that mean? I don't know.
There's been a lot of speculation, rumors from wrestling journalists
wrestling journalists
about. Can you move the microphone a little bit away from your mouth?
Never listen to this podcast.
Because when you say wrestling,
I'm yelling about wrestling.
When you say wrestling journalists, it's just blowing out. But there's been a lot of speculation of, is he retiring? Will someone take his place? Rumors of who that might be. And so Anthony came up with this idea of, well, you can explain it.
Yes. Okay. So we have been hearing from the dirt sheets and the wrestling journalists and all the people covering this fictional sport that maybe Samoa Joe will be resuming his contract with the WWE and be placed in a special role in the black and gold brand as the GM, replacing Mr. Regal himself.
I don't like that picture. It's
if you're watching the video version,
creepy.
you will see a very smug looking man, a very smug looking Mr. William Regal.
He looks like he's saying, he looks like he just said, "You've been a bad boy."
I'm gonna give you a couple biscuits and a spanking with some brass knuckles that I have hidden in my tights. under my bowls. Okay, all right, okay. Let's get back
Anyway,
on track.
all right,
here
we're a little loopy
as
today.
Mr. William Regal stares
Clearly.
into your souls.
But Anthony,
Okay,
I thought,
so-
but Anthony, I thought that Samoa Joe got released.
Well, he got released, all right, and there have been other talents that have been released over the course of the pandemic and these last couple years, with the WWE trying to increase their profits for possibly a sale or something that the journalists and dirt sheets are reporting.
Who knows?
But I thought to myself, like, if Joe, the Samoa Joe, is taking over as the NXT GM from Mr. Regal himself, what other released talent would be interesting as NXT GM? So I pose this question to you, Marty. Who do you think would be the most interesting / good NXT GM out of released talent from the last couple of years? And who do you think would be an absolute wild card, a surprise possibly, when it comes to a potential candidate for NXT GM?
Well, so I think a good thing to start is, like, personally, I don't think it's tricky. I don't want to see Regal go because I think that WWE has, like, they took away general managers from Raw and SmackDown because it was such a weird, like, if you think back to it, it was such a weird time because this is where viewership started to decline. And they did this whole thing in 2017, 2018, I forget when, where they were like, we hear you. You want change. You will be the general managers. And they did that whole thing where, like, we're getting rid of instant rematches. We're getting rid of, like, they said all this stuff where they're like, we're going to get rid of all this stuff. And one of those was general managers. And at the time, it was Paige was SmackDown GM and Kurt Angle was Raw GM. And they both like, that was Paige's final, like, last thing in the WWE for now. But and then Kurt Angle went on his, like, retirement thing to WrestleMania to face Baron Corbin.
And lose.
Oh yeah. But Regal, they kept the GM of NXT, and I think that Regal has been one of the best modern day general managers.
And I think to kind of
I don't want to see him go.
To continue on your point, I think the reason why Regal has been, like, such a good GM character is that he hasn't, like, forced himself necessarily in any storylines. Like, I think he legitimately acts as a authority figure that doesn't alter or manipulate things for their personal gain. Like, he just cares about the brand and the safety of the talent and that everything is fair and reasonable, which is why he'll always come out and, be like, you two are facing each other next week in this match and this match. And he'll book things because he gives people opportunity and he helps set up bigger matches, like his famous catchphrase, War Games.
War Games.
War Games. War Games.
And I mean, like, now on Raw and SmackDown, you have Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. And, like, they say, like, WWE officials, but, like, they're basically like general managers, but it's just a different sort of take on it. And I think it's because they're like, oh, we need, like, an authority. I know that there's a lot of people who hate authority figures, but, like, I think if it's done right, then it's good. And I think Regal is the best example of, like, what an authority figure in wrestling should be, where it's just, like, unbiased, but authoritative to the wrestlers so that they can't just get completely out of control. But also, like someone to introduce matches and book them, just like you said, and be that sort of, like, final decision factor. But yeah, we don't want to see Regal leave. I personally think maybe he'll get like an enforcer, or maybe this is like a turn for Regal, and maybe he's going to bring in a new faction. I mean, they've been teasing Diamond Mine for a while, and I don't know if like they'll come in as like a faction to kind of be like maybe Regal's like version of 3-Minute Warning. If you remember 3-Minute Warning.
I don't know what that is. Please explain.
That was when Eric Bischoff was general manager of Raw, and he had it was Rosie, Umaga before
RIP again.
Umaga before he was Umaga, but he was I forget his ring name before the hand, but it was those two. And when and it was this idea that like if Eric Bischoff didn't like what was going on, he'd give the wrestlers a 3-minute warning, and those two big dudes would come out and beat the shit out of whoever was causing trouble, or whoever Eric Bischoff. I mean, Eric Bischoff was a heel, and so they just beat up whoever he wanted. But like, I'm thinking like maybe like Diamond Mine could be like the like security or something of NXT, but maybe that's just like,
I see.
Maybe that's just like too dumb, and maybe that then goes too far into like the general manager having too much control, you know. But maybe it is that he's like, maybe there needs to be a change, and maybe there does need to be a new general manager, or maybe it's like he's going to bring someone in as like a protege, or like as an enforcer to be the person that like gets everyone back in line, maybe. So
ooh, that's interesting. That is very interesting.
What we might as well, before we mention like other people, we might as well just quickly touch on like, why do you think Samoa Joe would be a great general manager?
This is really a tough question, Marty, because I don't know that his current character suits being a general manager. But if we look
what's his current character body
of work?
What's his current
character is injured man on commentating. So injured man as commentator probably is not the best authority figure. But if we go back and we're like, oh, what is Joe good at? Well, he's an intimidating man. He cuts good promos. He is a big, like, I don't know. He's a charismatic man. I think like he's someone who cannot be fucked around with. So putting all those things together, you're like, okay, I guess that makes sense. So I think he'll cut good promos. I think he'll make sensible bookings, and he won't be easily swayed. I don't think he'll be someone who's a pushover of a general manager like some of our previous favorites.
Well, I think it's also that like William Regal, like I think the problem that faces that they've kind of been building on also is like you have someone like Johnny Gargano, who over the past couple months, whenever anything isn't going his way, he'll go to Regal and he'll call him like old man, and like not physically push him around. No one's ever done that except for Adam Cole did push him one time.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think Joe would be that sort of younger, like you said, intimidating person where it's like, if someone like steps up to him or tries to think that they can do anything, he'll just put him in a coquina clutch and choke him out. So because Joe can still go.
Or just like, yeah. Or just like be very swift with the repercussions of whatever this chaos would bring.
And it would give new personality to that role and be like a new direction in terms of how like like I think it would just reset the sort of chaos that's been happening lately and like bring it back to a bit more ordered rivalries and matches. So, and then you can get some good storylines out of him, especially with like his previous NXT history and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's more or less that Joe is like a good modern, like younger version of Regal.
Yeah, you could definitely find parallels in their personalities. And I think like since they both had such sort of illustrious in-ring careers, it's easy for, in kayfabe at least, for wrestlers to be like, oh yeah, I respect this guy because he was good. He was scary. He was tough. And
although, you know, still want to see Joe wrestle. So, but like you then proposed to us, who else that has been recently released would be an interesting choice. And
well, yes,
you touched on it before we started recording. Aleister Black.
Oh yeah. I mean, of course, this is just a crazy fairy tale fantasy booking of Aleister Black.
All these are crazy, so it doesn't matter.
Well, except for mine could be reasonable. The one that I'm pitching legitimately, I think if this person excels in their role in the WWE and they decide they want to be an on-air talent again, I think this person could be a fun replacement GM in NXT. However, yeah, like Aleister Black, yeah, he's probably not coming back. And yeah, like what would it be like though if he did come back and he was a GM? It would be crazy. I would think he would want to bring some more darkness to the brand, some more grit.
Well, NXT has been the grittier of the three brands.
That's true.
Just with, I mean, you can see like with the music choices and the graphics and stuff, you see Triple H's what's the word I'm looking for? His influence. Yeah, his influence on NXT in terms of its look and stuff. And I think Black very much lends to that in many ways. And obviously because Black came through NXT and he was a perfect fit. I think him coming in as a general manager, one, would terrify a lot of the talent. I think that would be cool because then you have people who have been there and have faced him, like Adam Cole, like Johnny Gargano, like Tommaso Ciampa, who then like think that they can step up to him, but then like it's that thing of I don't think there'd be anyone stupid enough to try. Maybe some of the greener guys, like maybe something like an LA Knight or a Cameron Grimes, and then they just get black masked and knocked out. But
and also imagine the reveal, Marty, of like, oh, your new NXT GM, and it's just
and then he does the coffin raise again. That'd be awesome. That'd be so cool. Bring that back.
Bring back the dental chair, baby.
I think Black would just be an interesting choice because it's that thing of like a younger person. He clearly isn't. His character was never one of like. He was in that gray zone where he wasn't really a babyface and he wasn't really a heel. He did what he wanted.
At times he was a babyface. It's kind of like depending like feud to feud. There was like just. There are certain alignments that were like either like a little bit left of center or right of center.
Yeah.
Depending on who he was against.
I think it was more, and not instead of baby face, is that he's clearly like the good guy, but like his good is like not an anti-hero, but in that way of
chaotic neutral.
Yes. No, I'd say, I'd say more like lawful neutral. If we're gonna get into, DM, well, more of like he's not chaotic because he's not. He might actually be true neutral, honestly. But
interesting.
But I would say lawful because this is so nerdy. Oh, we should do a whole episode where we try to pick. We try to do wrestlers and pick their alignments. Their D&D alignments. That'd be so funny.
Hello, Brandon Cutler of AEW. If you are interested in guessing on this episode where we create, we do the AEW roster and their alignments of D&D, please.
We should do that.
Respond to our tweet that we will eventually send you.
Everyone listening to this, please tweet Brandon Cutler and tell him to come on to Book It Vince so we can fantasy book what every AEW character's a D&D alignment would be. That's so good.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. But I'm saying I would say lawful more in the sense that like it's not that he doesn't follow the rules, but he has a certain code to himself. Because he's not chaotic. He doesn't just do whatever he wants. He's very much like kind of follows the same mentality through every match, and whoever he faces, it doesn't matter if he faces a good guy or a bad guy. So I think he would lend that to being a general manager, where it's like he doesn't have preferences, but he swiftly will deal out punishment.
Yes, and the punishment will be severe.
So I think that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, and I just think like the match types maybe that Aleister Black could get away with booking, especially if they were like a little bit out there and crazy, would be awesome. Like we would get a barbed wire match back in the old NXT.
Who do you think would be a good general manager instead of like we're gonna do wild cards?
Okay, hear me out
last, but
we'll do our crazy ones after. But okay, hear me out on this one. So I don't know. I feel like I've talked about this before, but as you know, one of my all-time favorite tag teams in recent history has come from the NXT brand, and unfortunately did not have a super long run on the main roster just because of poor booking and unfortunately an injury to one of its members.
I know what you're talking about.
Kurt Angle's son, Jason Jordan.
You had to say that.
I had to say it. So to follow in his father's footsteps, he moves on from his role as a WWE producer / program man, which he's presently, I believe, doing. And he wants to be an on-air talent again. So they let him be NXT GM. And I think to make it even more juicy, because Chad Gable hasn't had the best main roster run, and he's had Shorty G, and like the stuff he's doing now is like kind of interesting.
The thing is the stuff he's doing now, for a side tangent, the stuff he's doing now with with Otis is like basically just like it feels like an offshoot of American Alpha, because it's like that sort of like pro athlete sort of thing. And now he's like the instructor to Otis, but it's like you could have had that as like a good heel tag team with American Alpha if Jordan could still wrestle. But
imagine if then Jason Jordan was like, I want to rebuild the NXT tag division, and I want to give my brother, my good friend, a chance to get that belt in a place where he feels like the most at home, where he was great. So they bring the Alpha Academy or whatever the fuck they're called now. He brings Otis and Chad Gable to be like his 3-minute warning. Now that I know what that is, he brings them as their 3-minute warning, like his enforcers. And he starts as a very reasonable and neutral GM, but then you start to see that he is like trying to sort of manipulate the tag division so that Gable and Otis can get to the top rather quickly, and you can do very goofy things with them, like strongmen competitions to like try to get them to the number one contender place faster, and try to get them to qualify faster and just do like Olympian events. But also I think Jason Jordan would be good because NXT fans know who he is, and it would be good to just see him again. Like I know he wasn't the best on the mic or anything.
They threw him so quickly into the spotlight. Yeah, and it was way too much.
But I think like now that he's been away for a while, he could be a good figure. And also in like Southpaw regional wrestling, those short vignettes when they all played very ridiculous characters, he was very funny. So I think he has a lot of potential to be a good GM, while also playing with this fun storyline of like trying to rebuild Chad Gable. Like you possibly get him like just randomly inserting Gable into a triple threat for like the NXT championship. And it's like, what? No, why?
I think that, yeah. Okay. Jason Jordan would be, I think he, like you said, he kind of started out as like a babyface general manager where he's just kind of being strategic about it. But then it's like, it's that thing of like, he's young. A lot of the veterans might push him around and he kind of like, you see like his mean side come out. And I think then I think what he would add is like adding to this idea of like that NXT is like the real, like I don't know how to describe it. It's like he would bring this idea to NXT that like it's where the true professional wrestling takes place. Like this is the athletic brand. Like this is where the real like workers are. This is where true wrestling takes place.
Yeah, I think it would be like this is less sports entertainment and more sports. And where the hard hitting stiff wrestling happens. And I mean, it already is that, but with Jason Jordan, I think you add some like legitimacy to the GM position. It is a change. It would be a big change. I think you'd see a big change in how certain people would be booked as well, and how involved Jason Jordan would be in certain feuds, especially if he brings the Alpha Academy with him as meat.
I think that if then he brought down, maybe not necessarily Otis, but like if he brought down Chad Gable, and Chad Gable gets a run in the North American title.
Oh, that's nice too. Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be a really great fit. And just like, this is just my forever fantasy, my reclamation project of rebuilding Chad Gable, because I really like him as a wrestler. I think he's great.
He's an incredible wrestler, and he literally is. He is one of the examples of, even though lately it's been sort of the like final nail in the coffin of wrestlers getting released, but he is the definition of like use every minute that you have on screen the best that you can. And I say that
I'm surprised he lasted though. I mean, I know I started to interrupt, but it's just like it's insane that like everybody has been like, oh, what the hell is Chad Gable doing? He endured quite possibly one of the worst gimmicks in WWE recent history, Shorty G, and they didn't release him, and he's still there. Like, and, you know, I think maybe he's a company guy like Miz, and he does everything they need him to do, and whatever. I respect that. I mean, I think he's really good, but as some wrestling journalists would say, mainly the biggest one, Big Money Melts thinks that Gable would be really good in Japan, and I agree.
No, he is an incredible athlete. But yeah, Jason Jordan, it'd be interesting. It would be interesting, especially since he's so heavily involved in the backstage stuff. It's just like, it would be a surprise for sure. And then letting him at least be more involved in like what is comparably, you know, or very apparent, the brand with the most pure wrestling athleticism and just the better show. So
sorry.
I think not diving into wild cards yet, it would be very interesting about Zelina Vega coming back. That would be really interesting. I don't know how. The tricky thing is like, she is a great on-camera personality. She's a great talker. Like all that would be super interesting. It's the question of how would she get control of, if this whole thing is like that NXT is out of control, how would she get NXT in control?
Right. I kind of forgot about the whole NXT being chaotic thing.
Because Vega, like she was reportedly in renegotiations with WWE and had been seen at the PC. So, it's like, well, is she going to come back as a wrestler or as a manager of someone or what? I think no matter what, if Zelina Vega came back in any way, she'd be the perfect fit to be some sort of attachment or improvement to Legado del Fantasma. I think that'd be crazy. Is like you have a women's wrestler, even if she's just like a wrestler, and she's comes back as attached to them and like try vibes for like the NXT Women's Championship. That'd be kind of cool. But as a GM, I think that she'd be very stern. She'd be very what's the word I'm looking for? I think she'd be forceful just in the sense of like you can't intimidate her, and even the women would probably try to, but like they could play her up really, really big as like, I don't care what you say, and I don't care how small I am, I'm ruthless. Like that'd be kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think like to go off of her previous personality that she embodied in her run in NXT and on the main roster, like she's a pretty fiery and hot-headed individual, lots of yelling, lots of face-to-face confrontations, no matter the size of the person that face-to-face confrontation is happening with. And I think if we're going to continue to bring in like enforcers with these people to sort of maintain control of NXT, having Legado be her enforcers would be great.
Yeah.
But also, you're saying something. You're about to say something. What is it?
I was about to say Authors of Pain.
Oh, nice. Yeah, AOP coming back to just stand side by side, and then Zelina Vega just like being in the middle.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that would be really funny.
As soon as you said like enforcers, I just went, one, that would be a cool new return for them. Or maybe that could be the introduction of the Diamond Mind or whatever. But I think that would be, she definitely would need some sort of enforcer. The problem is like when you bring in a character that is clearly like, I think that's why Joe makes a lot more logical sense than a lot of other people to be a GM, is because he can ride that middle of the road, like good guy, bad guy, like Regal can. While a lot of other people would be more one side, like Zelina Vega would be more of a heel general manager.
Right.
But I think she'd need some form of like enforcer to help her.
Visually, that to me looks so funny. Like knowing the real life height and what Zelina looks like on screen next to other like talent, especially like the bigger male talent, and having her paired with AOP is so funny. Like it's just like
that'd be
these
hilarious.
Two skyscrapers of human beings, and just like Zelina like in a little power suit, like just like being like,
yeah,
it's hilarious.
Is there anyone that you kind of that you could see being like, oh, that would be interesting, or do you want to move to the wild cards?
Yeah, of course. Like we can just do a couple of just names that I think would be kind of funny that aren't necessarily my wild card, but like GM Mojo. I love fantasy booking with my guy Mojo. He would be hilarious.
He would be hilarious.
It would be like, I think like if you brought his like get hype personality like back, and like just trying so hard to get everybody excited, and then booking like just like big beefy football players and like ex-athletes to just body people. Like if he like latched onto like Riddick Moss as his champion and it was like, let's go Riddick.
I forgot
like, that would be pretty funny.
I forgot Riddick Moss was still in the WWE. I thought
is he? I really don't know,
I'm
but
pretty sure he is. I don't think he was ever released. That's funny.
You know, thank God, because he's kind of entertaining, and I never want to wish anybody get released. I want everybody to have jobs. I want WWE to stop being greedy. Yeah, I'm talking to you, business president Nick Khan. Stop being so greedy, brother. Pay the wrestlers.
Fight Tony Khan. Do it.
Yeah.
If you have the ball.
Yeah. Showtime will buy that contract, and then you'll get a cool exhibition boxing match. Khan versus Khan.
I mean, it writes itself.
Yeah, it does. Fantasy booking Nick Khan versus Tony Khan is now this episode.
So I think it's time to go with our wild cards.
Yes.
So
it is wild card time.
So, okay.
And do you want to start, Marty?
Yeah, sure. Here's my wild card. I kind of did a Freudian slip earlier. And I mentioned someone because I was thinking of someone else for this moment. Tucker.
Oh no.
I accidentally said Tucker when I was trying to say Otis because I was thinking like, oh, that'll be a great wild card pick. Is Tucker comes in as general manager. Tucky.
Explain yourself.
And he just gets
explain why.
They're like, oh, we need to get control over NXT. And then Regal thinks, oh, I know, I'll bring the perfect person in. And he brings in Tucker. And then it just gets even more chaotic and everyone steps over him even more. And he becomes an absolute joke.
And then he just like fights everybody because he's like, oh, I was released as an in-ring talent, but I'm the manager. I can technically do whatever I want and have no repercussions or consequences. Oh,
it's more of just a wild card pick in the sense that like it would be absolutely ridiculous. It'd be the most what reaction of and Regal's standing in the ring and he's like, and I'm introducing the new. That's such a bad accent.
Do it. We're the kings of bad accents here.
Well, no, Regal has more of a posh accent, unless he says war games. He's more like, I'm here to introduce the new. I'd like to announce my retirement as the new NXT, as the NXT general manager. And I'd like to introduce the new general manager who will be taking my place, Tucker. And everybody just goes, what? Fucking what? The entire CWC just lets out a giant huh?
What would his booking be like? And also, how would you describe a Tucker GM character?
I think
is he a heel? Is he a face?
No, I think he'd just be a complete pushover.
Oh no.
I think he'd make good booking decisions and like he'd be like, you're facing you. But I think like everybody would just push him over. Like,
would you do a character where he's like kind of like a little bit like fish out of water, a little bit like this job is a bit, the pants are a bit too big, you know? I'm God.
He's the guy who in the company comes in and he's like, I have no experience doing my job, but I'm here to elevate all of you and make you the best that you can be. And all of like, it's like at that job where they bring in someone who has no experience whatsoever, but because he had a good resume, like they hired him, but then all the people that are at the job and have been at the job for like 5 years all go, why didn't you just promote one of us? Like that sort of thing.
I was a general manager at a shoe store, which makes me immediately qualified to be your supervisor at this factory.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, man. Okay.
I think it would just be funny. It's more for me just like to have a laugh than it's serious.
Okay. Well, my wildcard pick is in a similar vein. However, I think this person could do a very good job, depending on their state of mind. But their character was very, very much beloved in the internet wrestling community during their time in NXT. And that person is one of the best NXT champions of all time. Bo Dallas, baby.
It's you mentioned this before we started because you said, oh, we should do wildcard picks. And I'm 100% picking Bo Dallas. It's so interesting because like I wasn't watching NXT during that time. Like the early days of NXT. And so I had to go back and like when I started rewatching wrestling like 4 or 5 years ago, I was then like, oh, what's this whole, like I had people telling me like, oh, like you need to check out NXT because this is where like Seth comes from and where like Balor comes from. Like that's Brian and like that's where
and
all
Kevin
these
Owens
and KO and Sammy and Nakamura and like and that's
Neville,
where Bobby Roode, Drew McIntyre. When I started watching wrestling again, I think it was just at the moment that Drew was NXT champion and Adam Cole had just came into NXT. So,
my God, Marty.
I missed all that prior history. And learning about
beautiful.
learning about Bo Dallas is like this total underdog. Like he's put on some exemplary matches and had pretty good storyline too.
Yes. And his character was so good, being like a heel that thinks he's a face, like deluded heel, like this man who like believes that he is the good guy. This is so funny. It would be so good for a GM. And it would be such a surprising pick because everybody knows that he has been released. And it's like for him to return to NXT in all of its glory and him to like run around and be like, yeah, would be so great. Like thinking he's doing such a good job when he's making just horrible bookings, like making horrible decisions. I think he would like have these really amazing, like maybe backstage promos with talent after they lose, where he's like, don't worry, I'll give you another chance. You just got to keep your head up and believe. And it's just like, oh my catchphrase. and he like is trying to build up all of these people who are sort of down on their luck, but then they would maybe end up getting angry and just start like, fucking shit up. We could maybe see like a rehash of like a Retribution style faction in NXT from people who are just sick of the overwhelming positivity that Bo Dallas has. And it would just be very, very funny to just see him kind of try to navigate through the duties of being a GM and thinking he's doing exemplary work. Similar to how you're talking about how Tucker would be like a person who is like overconfident, being like, I know what I'm doing. I think I'm the manager. That's like exactly what like Bo would do. And it fits in the character because he would be doing just heelish bookings and terrible, terrible things and helping the worst people. Like, I think he would be easily swayed by like The Way and Johnny Gargano. Mm-hmm. It would be like, okay, sounds great, Johnny. Okay, let's
really
do
funny.
it.
That'd be really funny.
And I think, yeah, it would obviously get old pretty fast, but like for a short amount of time, having NXT GM Bo Dallas would be just fantastic. It would be hell on earth for the superstars, especially the legitimate ones. But oh my goodness, would it ever be funny? and you could do a callback to his big like getaway where he gets like chased around the performance center and he's banned. It's like on the final like day he's the general manager, he's like, they'll lock me out of my office let me in, let me in. And he's like running around, and the NXT security is trying to apprehend him and get him off the premises of Full Sail, and he's just like running around in his suit, like he's breaks out of his handcuffs.
You're not. And Triple H and Shawn Michaels are just like, Bo, you're not the general manager anymore. And
yeah,
he's just trying to get back into the building.
You can't take it away from me. Hunter.
Oh, you could have a really good like fan service moment for like kind of the more old school like wrestling fans, where he like tries to dress up as a woman, and it's the Bobby Heenan bit. No. It's the Bobby Heenan bit where he's like, my grandson's in there, and Hunter just takes off the wig and goes like, Bo, this didn't work for Bobby Heenan, and it's not working for you.
yeah, exactly. It's just this very outdated and like tasteless bit of him, very obviously just wearing women's clothes and being like, let me in. My son is a trainee. And just like, and then getting chased around again. Oh,
that'd be funny. It's all for that bit and not at all his bookings. But no, I like the idea of like the, like what you said, like the super confident, like he thinks he's doing all the right things, but really he's doing all the wrong things. Like that's pretty cool. That's pretty funny.
And it'd be really funny for like him. Let's say like Swerve and like Hit Row are like feuding with, I don't know, like Bronson Reed, and it's like Bronson's like, I want a one-on-one match with Swerve for the North American Championship or something, and then Swerve's like, I'm not going to accept the match unless I have backup. And then Bo Dallas's music hits, and he's like, okay, it's Hit Row versus Bronson Reed. All of Hit Row against one person. That's what you wanted, right? Yeah.
That becomes his new catchphrase is, that's what you wanted, right?
yeah. That's what you wanted, right?
That's so
and Bronson
funny.
Reed is just like, what the fuck? What the hell? And Hit Row is just like, yeah, okay, we'll take it.
It's just the entire like CWC is just like, boo, and he's like, what?
Boo. He's like, that's what you wanted, right? That's
and then you just hear
wanted.
Vic Joseph being like, all right, official word from General Manager Bo Dallas, we have a handicap match for the North American Championship.
and it's just like, we also want to be in a steel cage. Okay, get the steel cage.
Well, I don't know about that, guys. Oh, don't worry, it'll be fine. Okay,
that's what you wanted. Imagine him booking a War Games match. It's like he like books like two legitimate factions to face each other, and then he's like, well, how about also Ever Rise? Is that what those guys are called?
Yes.
The Canadian guys.
They're Canadian.
And
I feel bad because I don't like them. I really don't like them. I feel bad now. I just hate their shtick. I hate their gimmick.
Ever Rise and somebody else, Pete Dunne. It's like, oh, what the hell are you doing? Ever Rise, Danny Burch.
You're gonna compete in a War Games match. Just the like
War Games.
Also, everything he says ends in a question mark because he's not too sure if he's making the right choice. So he's like, hey, "You're gonna compete in a War Games match."
War Games? Yeah.
It's
like,
my god,
Christ,
that'd
like
be so stupid.
Yeah.
Love it. I love it so much. Oh, geez. Well, there you go. There's our somewhat legitimate bookings of a new NXT general manager and also some crazy fantasy ones that probably most definitely will not happen, but would be hilarious to see. Let us know online. Who do you think is going to be the NXT general manager? We might find out the day that this episode comes out, because the episodes come out on Tuesdays every other week. And this week, we might find out literally tonight if you're listening to this on the day of the upload. Yeah, let us know who you think would be a good NXT general manager, or your craziest fantasy booking. As always, to close out the episodes, we have our question of the week and our match recommendation. If you want to submit your own questions to us to answer here on the podcast, you can, of course, tweet at us either individually or at the Book of Vince Twitter. And you can also submit them on our website, unknownerfilms.com/bookitvince, and check all of the match recommendations that we suggest every episode listed there and links to watch them. This week, Anthony, a little stumped on a question, but then you came up with a good one, which is just fun, related to what we're talking about general managers. The question this week is, which non-wrestling personality would you want to be the general manager of Raw or SmackDown for a week?
Yeah, I mean, I have my answer picked out.
I know,
just because of my bias with this this celebrity, this personality. But I want to hear what you have in your mind. If you
mentioned it, and I'm jealous because I would say the exact same thing, but I'm going to give a different one because for a little bit of variety, I would say,
yes,
we mentioned it like forever ago. Now that I'm thinking about it, I forget what it was. I forget what the question was. It might have just been, what celebrity would you want to see like make an appearance in wrestling?
Yeah,
it might have been. And I think in that episode I said Arnold Schwarzenegger as like a general manager.
Oh yeah,
which would be hilarious. But I think another great person would be who's like. Oh, I'll just go for like a really dumb one. I'll say Betty White. That would be so funny, like a grandma. like she comes, like, Betty White comes in and she's like the sweetest person, and no one wants to be mean to her, but she ends up like booking like crazy matches. That'd be really funny.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, Betty White. Okay. This is. Oh God, that's so funny. Okay, this is mine. I think that WWE Raw should take a one-way ticket to Flavor Town for 1 week. Guy Fieri comes in, takes over as the manager of Raw, and you can have so many fun gimmick matches with the shows that belong to the Guy Fieri family. You could have like a hot rod on a pole match. You could have a grocery store match in the Guys Grocery Games.
Okay, I'm all for that
set.
I'm 100% for that
to replicate the famous Booker T and Stone Cold segment.
You could have you could have a Triple D match or something where they fight in like a diner.
Yeah, a Triple D match.
Oh man, so ridiculous. Dives, the Dominators, and trying to think of wrestling
headbutt.
moves.
I don't know.
Start with a D. Well, it'd be like DDT,
Diamond Cutter, DDT,
cutter.
Diamond Cutter, and diving headbutts.
Drop toe hold
match. The Triple D. Oh, drop kick, of course.
Oh, drop kick.
Duh. Okay, yeah.
It would
drop
just
kick,
be
DDT, and diamond cutters only.
It would be so. It would just be such an interesting personality, because I'm sure like there'd be some people that like would terrify him, but then it's also like, oh my God, imagine a conversation between Guy Fieri and fucking Matt Riddle. That would just be so funny.
You can't script these things.
No, that would be so funny.
And maybe they're just eating. They're just eating like ribs, or he's like just like he wants Matt Riddle to talk about the barbecue sauce.
And he goes on this he goes on this like long tangent about like the barbecue sauce he had as a kid. I would just imagine that it would be a conversation where like he's like, so I was just wondering, I was looking at a map the other day and I couldn't find Flavortown anywhere on it, and I was just making me wonder. And then,
bro, like, is there? Can you tell me the map direction to go? Because I've been trying to find this place, bro. This Flavortown, bro.
He's so stupid. I love it.
So dumb.
I love it.
There could be a cooking competition in the ring. There could be a barbecue sauce match. Well, we won't put women in it because we are past that, but we could put two huge men in a barbecue sauce match.
Just imagine someone getting, when they used to like, there was the big trend in like WWE for a few years was like getting stuff dumped on you from overhead. And so then you just do that with like barbecue sauce, donkey sauce. Is that what it's called? I don't remember.
Donkey sauce. Dumping the donkey sauce on his head.
So that'd be really ridiculous.
That's Guy Fieri, general manager, and I know a lot of people would enjoy it, especially friend of the podcast and friend of mine, Corey Birch, who is a big Guy Fieri fan. He's also a big Shrek fan.
I was just about to say.
We can't make Shrek the GM.
Well, no, that's what I was about to say. I was saying if we were gonna ask Corey Birch who he would want as general manager of Raw for a week, he'd say Shrek.
Yeah.
But
beautiful.
There we go. Let us know who you would want to see as a non-wrestling personality come in and manage Monday Night Raw for a week. Let us know your ridiculous answers to that. And to close out of the episode, match recommendation, match that we here at Book Events want you to go watch. And this week it's Anthony's turn to suggest something. So Anthony, what match should everybody go and check out?
Okay, so I wanted to find a match that I could at least sort of remember that featured Mr. Regal. And there's not a ton of ones that I could remember, but something that I really did enjoy watching in the early 2000s was William Regal and Tajiri feuding and eventually tagging together. So I would like everybody to watch WWE Backlash 2005, the tag team turmoil match for the world tag team titles. And that features Tajiri, William Regal, Antonio and Romeo, Maven and Simon Dean, and Rob Conway and Sylvain Grenier.
Great. Just a lot of B-list people. But then you got
Jobberfest.
But then you have Regal and Tajiri, and they were a great tag team. I love them as a tag team. Back in the day, they were so good. Or a little side, like also go check out when Regal became King of the Ring.
Oh yes, also very good. Very, very good.
It was kind of like more that mid-late 2000s sort of deal where like, all right, okay. But like he was a great King of the Ring because like it fit his personality and character so well. So also go check that out. But you can find the link to that match on our website. So yeah, couldn't think of a tangent after that. That's been our episode. Again, please let us know what you think, or who do you think is going to be NXT GM. Very exciting times in wrestling.
Yes.
And we hope you enjoyed this episode of Book It, Vince. As always, you can follow everything that we do here at Unknown Error by following us online by just searching for @UE_films. You can follow myself on Instagram and Twitter @Barton_Minute. You can follow Mr. Anthony Hall
@Hall and Jokes on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow the podcast on Twitter at BookItVincePod, where guaranteed
But not if you're a wrestling journalist,
I was
because we
just
don't
about to-
like you.
I was just about to make a joke. I was going to say guaranteed no wrestling journalism coming from our Twitter account.
Yeah, we do 0% wrestling journalism.
And we do a 100% jokes and random memes and live tweeting of fun wrestling events.
Exactly. So thank you so much for listening and or watching this episode. Take it easy out there, stay safe, and go watch some wrestling.
Too sweet.
War
Watch out
games.
for that.
Donkey sauce.
War games. Donkey
Donkey.
sauce.
Donkey
Donkeys.
sauce.
War games.